What's going on, Facebook? What's going on, YouTube? Thank you guys so much for being here. I want to talk about three things today. I want to talk about the Biden-Afghanistan blunder. A lot of people have been asking my take. A lot of people have been giving their takes, veterans, people, etc. We'll talk about that because I think he's really dropping the ball. That's just obvious. And I have something to say to the media when it comes to Joe Biden. All these people like Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, Trevor Noah, Seth Meyers, right? CNN, MSNBC, all these celebrities, they've been putting this illusion with their shows, SNL, whatever. He's this heroic candidate saving the world from Donald Trump. And it's like, you guys know this guy is, he's not all the way there. You know that. So I'm going to have a real word with the mainstream media because it's one thing to have a different candidate. It's another thing to act like Joe Biden is a Power Ranger. And it's just, it has real life consequences. So we're going to get into that. I also want to talk about the first thing I'm going to talk about really quick before I talk about that is Bloomberg Business actually admitted something about the Jabby and the Israel data, which is pretty amazing that mainstream media is willing to report this. And then I want to talk about Ian Smith, the gym owner from New Jersey, and Dan Crenshaw. They're kind of going at it. It's pretty interesting, so I want to talk about it. But as people are coming in, before I start with the Bloomberg story, I just want to show these are the people, just 4 of them, I believe, so far. The Kabul airport attacks killed 13 U.S. service members and at least 90 Afghans. So I want to say God bless the 13 service members and their family, and God bless the 90 Afghans as well. They have a family as well. So I just want to give a picture. There's going to be a lot of political fighting left and right? Everybody yelling at each other. And I just wanted to give some love to these people and their families because these are good people that went out there to serve their country, and they don't deserve it. And I'm sure a lot of people in that country don't either. So, hopefully we could come to something in the world where this doesn't happen all the time because it's really unfortunate. But there's so much back and forth fighting. I just wanted to give some love to these people and their families. It's very sad when you see their faces and, really disappointing. I have a big story on that, but real quick, if you guys don't mind, this is I'm just going to hold it up for YouTube. I know Facebook, it's backwards for you, but this is Bloomberg Business, okay? They posted this today on their Instagram page really quick, and then I'm going to get into it. Not me, Facebook, Bloomberg Business. It says, a previous bout of COVID may prevent Delta infection better than a Pfizer shot. Bloomberg went on to say people who recovered from a bout of COVID-19 during one of the earlier waves of the pandemic appear to have a lower risk of contracting the Delta variant than those who got 2 doses of the Pfizer vaccine. The largest real-world analysis comparing natural immunity gained from earlier infection to the protection provided by one of the world's most potent vaccines is, showed that reinfections were much less common. The paper from researchers in Israel contrasts with earlier studies which show that immunizations offered those better protection than the earlier infection than those who were not of the Delta variant. So once again, this is not me, real quick, and I got the bigger story to get into, but Bloomberg is admitting that Israel data is showing that actual natural immunity from the original origin virus, whatever they want to call it, actually may protect you better than the Pfizer shot. May is a big word like they use. They say may. I mean, big pharma and big government, I don't care if it's Israel, America, Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, they have no interest in telling you that natural immunity is good. They have no interest in telling you that exercising and eating right is good. All they're doing is bribing, threatening, and holding people for ransom over this stuff. And I'm amazed that Bloomberg even reported that because obviously that would be part of the equation, but these people don't care. These medical authoritarians are psycho, but I've talked about it enough. So let's get into the main story. One thing that's so sick when something happens, whether it's COVID or an error overseas, is the politicization, political, pundits, etc. Like these people were killed. They have a family. It's sad, regardless of what side of politics you're on, thinking about 13 service members and 90 Afghanis that have to, get a phone call that something happened. And I just want to show you what some people in the media are saying, because it's like some of these people are just sickos in the head, and it's just disgraceful. So this is Chris Hayes. I think he works at MSNBC. He said, again, probably 1,000 people are going to die today from COVID. So it's like, he can't even give like okay, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. This happened. Now I'm going to get into my view of it. But it's like, oh, you care about these people who died, huh? Well, there's like 1,000 people who died from COVID. First of all, it's just like these people are just the scum of the earth. And second of all, Chris Hayes and MSNBC, not to derail, but it's like, do they put the stats on TV of heart disease and obesity and diabetes and cancer and driver incidents? And this is a better comparison rather than to try to like showcase your COVID fear mongering when people are mourning the loss of service members. We could stop everybody from driving in the country. We could stop everybody from driving all over the world. We might save millions of lives. I bet we would save millions of lives if nobody drove, but also society would not be fun anymore and it wouldn't be able to function. So that's the best comparison to COVID, not trying to use a political excuse to jam your COVID narrative down the throats of people mourning the loss of people in Afghanistan. Would be like, Chris Hayes, you think lockdowns stop a virus. You think mask mandates, look at Israel, 2 shots, 3 shots. They're having worse cases than places that aren't doing that. So your fanatical idea that lockdowns and mask mandates and forcing everyone to get the jab is going to make this virus disappear, the real world data, even Bloomberg's admitting that's not the case. So the best example of this would be to compare it to driving. Millions of people die every year from driving. We could cut it all off and we could actually save more lives than your lockdown measures, but we don't do that because we understand that life has a certain amount of risk. This was apparently Malcolm Nance. I guess he deleted this tweet, thank God, because he said 20 years. FYI, there have been terrorist suicide bombers killing civilians daily in Afghanistan. This ain't new. It's why we're leaving. #deal with it. So it's just sad to see it. I mean, we've seen this, but it's like, I understand if you're going to defend Joe Biden. I understand if you're going to do this, but the fact, like, just deal with it. It's like, these people are so wicked. That's how they treat you when they lock you in your house. Just deal with it. Just deal with it. I'm essential. You're not. Just deal with it. That's their whole narrative. They think they're so great. They think they're so much better than the average American. They think they're so much better than certain service members. They think they're so great. Just deal with it. That's how they treat us. You shut down for a year. I'll sit in my news station to make news. You just deal with it. You can't go here. We want to treat you like Australia. These people are just disgusting. So I want to play a clip real quick before we get into the Afghanistan blunder. This is Joe Biden. I mean, this alone, I just want to play this clip. He says that, I don't think he was supposed to admit this, but Joe Biden says, they told me to make this list or something. Like somebody's like giving him the list of who to talk to and not. Like, this guy's not even in control of himself. So listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, they gave me a list here. The first person I was instructed to call on was Kelly O'Donnell of NBC. They
gave me a list here. The first person they instructed me to call on was Kelly O'Donnell. How scripted is this? What's her question? Is her question organic, or is this like a pre-approved? Listen, Joe Biden can't handle real questions. We can't make him look bad. We have to convince everybody he wears aviators and eats ice cream and he's so cool and he's saving the world from COVID. We can't break our illusion. So let's give him a pre-approved question from a pre-approved news host or a pre-approved news host who is gonna probably go nicer on him than some other news hosts. Was he supposed to say that out loud? Does anybody think that he was supposed to admit that he has a pre-approved list, or is he losing it a little bit? Is he 70-something years old? Is he not quite the Joe Biden that he was in 1990 and 2000? Because we all know it, okay? Whether you think he's sharp as a tool or not, whether you voted for him, whether you voted for Trump, whether you work at MSNBC, we all know it, okay? I have my criticisms of Trump recently with what he's doing, but to say that Joe Biden is a leader that should be in charge of our country is a joke. And this is my message to Jimmy Kimmel, who gets up there and reads the script, Trevor Noah, Jimmy Fallon, all of these media tools who just propagate the mainstream narrative and propagate the big government shut down, you lock down, we're essentially you're not narrative. All of these people, MSNBC, CNN, all these celebrities. I mean, it's a whole cabal of just, people who want to be cool in Hollywood and want to be cool at the mainstream news stations, and they do what they're told, and, they won't dare. Jon Stewart comes on and says something true, and Stephen Colbert tries to shut him up real quickly. You guys should be ashamed of yourself, okay? Because outside of what I disagree with Trump and what you disagree with Trump, you guys brainwashed the entire country or half of the country or enough people to somehow win that last election that Joe Biden was a competent leader, that Joe Biden puts on sunglasses, that Tulsi Gabbard's so bad, that Donald Trump is so bad, that Joe Biden's so cool, that he's the calm, cool, collected person. And I don't think he has any idea what he's doing, because he can't even shut up about the fact that he's not even in control of his own news conferences. As annoying as Trump got at the end of his career just selling pharmacy products to me, he stood on stage and asked questions answered questions for an hour, 2 hours, off the cuff. I mean, I mean, 95% of the press was against him, but he's still answering all these questions. Joe Biden can't even answer one question from somebody who disagrees with him, pre-approved list, and he admits it out loud. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing for our country. This is embarrassing for the press. You guys know deep down in your heart, deep down in your soul, I don't know how many millions of dollars these corporations are paying you to pretend like, Trump is the worst person in the world and Joe Biden's the hero. I don't know how much they're brainwashing you to push this script. Just like when you watch a TV show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, how much of it is real? How much of it is scripted? You might think it's real because you love Kim Kardashian, right? It's so cool. I mean, they're a real family. They do real things. But a lot of these reality shows, it's like, copy paste. We have the camera here. It's way less real than you guys think. And this presidency is turning out to be the same thing. It's like, answer this question, we'll say this, and we know the media is going to cover for you. You guys should be ashamed of yourself for brainwashing tens of millions of people into thinking Joe Biden's a competent leader. I don't like Pete Buttigieg, but he doesn't belong in a nursing home. I don't like Kamala Harris, and I see why the Democrats didn't vote for her either. I don't really like any of the Democrats except for Tulsi Gabbard, and they made Tulsi Gabbard look like the villain. I'm going to tell you why in a second, because she disagrees with regime change war in Syria, and they hate that. So they made the most competent Democrat look like a villain on SNL, and they made the least competent Democrat look like a hero. You guys are evil. That's like the definition of like satanic, is like good is evil is good, up is down is up, competent is incompetent is competent. I'm not like a super fan of Tulsi Gabbard, but she's not annoying. She doesn't hate Republicans. She doesn't hate the military members. She doesn't hate our country. She doesn't hate conservatives. She can actually talk. She's actually somewhat honest. And you guys in the press, on SNL, on these news stations, The View, etc., you made her, who served in our military, by the way, you made her look like the arch nemesis of America for the crime of telling the truth about Kamala in Syria. And you made Joe Biden look like a superstar. You guys should be ashamed of yourself. And these people, I don't even think they like the country at all. So what happens when you put people in charge that don't even like our country? These people are not liberal. I'm going to just read real quick what liberal means. Liberal, according to the Google dictionary definition, says willing to respect or accept behavior or opinions different from one's own, open to new ideas. It also means relating to or denoting a political and social philosophy that promotes individual rights, civil liberties, democracy, and free enterprise. Does that sound like you guys in the press? Does that sound like you guys in Washington? Does that sound like you guys who believing in individual rights and civil liberties and willing to expect others' opinion? You guys are not liberal. You guys are authoritarian psychopaths. You guys are treating the military like shit. Let's not even get into Afghanistan right now. You're putting masks on the military. You're making them go on LGBT hikes. You're discriminating against them based on their political opinions, but letting other political opinions slide. I mean, take the mask off the military, for God's sake. You guys are treating them like shit. You guys are treating our own military like they're captured in Afghanistan or something by ISIS or someone. Putting on masks, just humiliating them. I'm getting reports of people, I mean, it's not even a secret. It's all over the place. If you're a military member and you decide to opt out of the jab, they treated you like a prisoner. Everybody gets to see their family. Everybody gets to go out. You don't get to go out, just psychologically abusing you. I mean, our own leaders are treating our military as if they're captured from another country. It's just disgraceful. So Joe Biden is a joke of a president. He's a joke. People ask me, and I got a lot of heat because I've been going at Donald Trump over his big, 2-year-long pharmacy sale. They said, Anomaly, why don't you talk about Joe Biden? Anomaly, I'm starting to think you're a Democrat because you don't talk about Joe Biden. I said, do you want to know why I don't talk about Joe Biden? Because I don't respect him, because I don't trust him, because I don't even listen to his interviews, and because he's such a joke to me. It just seems like something that's not even worth my time because I like to do analysis, and I think he's a disgrace. Now that all of this is going to add up, other people report on it all the time, and I understand why. That's why I don't do it. He's such a joke to me. And I want to say something real quick that's interesting to me. When Donald Trump got into office, the one thing that I think he accomplished, because I think his voice was an accomplishment, the fact that he called the media fake, the fact that he was calling out both parties, that was a cultural accomplishment, that he made people love America again. He made people like myself believe in America again. We knew it was wicked. We knew it was corrupt. And he made a lot of people think it was turning around. Might have not been, but he made us think that. He did a lot of stuff culturally, but the one thing I think he did when he was in office, like actuality in the physical realm, was in Syria. When he got into Syria, he promised that he would get rid of ISIS. He promised that ISIS would stop terrorizing Syria. And that's one of the reasons that I liked him early on, because that's kind of a bipartisan issue for progressives to conservatives. Doesn't really matter where you stand. And he actually really did it. I mean, you could say that he did too much. He did an airstrike, whatever. But if you look at Syria before Donald Trump got there, and you look at Syria after Donald Trump left office, ISIS was virtually eliminated except for an Idlib province, which I would say it's a sketchy situation. But if you ask people in Syria, and I have, who do you prefer? Was it worse during Obama or Trump? They all say it was way better during Trump. It was way worse than Obama. When Obama was in office, they had ISIS taking over their main cities like Damascus. And then when Trump got into office, all of a sudden they disappeared. You know, you could say it's this, you could say it's that, you could say it's spontaneous. I have a New York Times article here that I think explains a lot of the reason that happened, because in other countries like Syria, Libya, etc., a lot of times the United States funds rebel groups and does like this multi-pronged proxy war. So I just got to hold this up real quick because this is New York Times. I just don't want to be accused of pushing conspiracy theories. This is mainstream stuff. This is when Trump was in office. It said, behind the sudden death of the $1 billion secret CIA war in Syria. This is from New York Times. They said, the end came quickly for one of the costliest covert action programs in the history of the CIA. During a White House briefing early last month, CIA Director Mike Pompeo recommended to President Trump that he shut down a 4-year-old effort to arm and train Syrian rebels. The president swiftly ended that program. The rebel army was by then a shell hollowed out to more than after a year of bombing by Russian planes. And, you know, they said Putin, Trump's working with Putin. But the truth is, I believe, I mean, I'll never know the exact truth. I believe that Pompeo, to their credit, and Donald Trump looked at the fact that we were funneling money to rebel groups and thinking maybe we shouldn't funnel money to rebel groups, because sometimes, whether it be in Libya, we funnel money to rebel groups, and then all of a sudden slavery's in Libya. And this disgusts me. People like Vice is out there calling our army or our Marines, or I can't remember if it was Marines, or they just did this article, why are there so many neo-Nazis in the military? And it's like Vice is these scrawny, beta, fragile loser liberals with these arms that look like string beans that sit in their San Francisco or wherever apartment in their liberal city and just call everybody names. You know, these are the same Vice that celebrated the death of Gaddafi. You could find a tweet of theirs where they say DEA dead, and they're so happy that Gaddafi's dead. They're like, I bet our friends, the rebel groups, I guess Vice is friends with the Libyan rebels, I bet they're so happy right now. And Libya ended up in human slavery. It literally ended in the slave trade. So that's the scrawny beta liberal, whether it's in America or overseas. They tell you how much they love black people, and then they celebrate the killing of a black leader, and then black slavery happens, and they don't even say anything. It's like in New York City, we love black people. We just want 70% of the youth to not be able to access facilities like it was 1930 under the guise of medical tyranny and big pharma. These people are sickos, and they have the nerve to talk about other people. It's disgraceful. But in general, I just find it interesting. When Donald Trump was in office, he stuck to his pledge, and ISIS, I'm not going to say they disappeared, but ISIS was the biggest thing of the Obama administration. ISIS, North Korea, ISIS, North Korea. Before there was coronavirus, before there was Donald Trump, before there was all this new stuff, there was ISIS in North Korea. They scared the crap out of people my age when I was in college with those two things. When Donald Trump got in office, he made peace with North Korea, and then he essentially beat ISIS in Syria for the most part. They didn't completely disappear, but they lost virtually all of their ground. I find it very weird when Joe Biden gets into office, all of a sudden ISIS is murdering our troops again. All of a sudden ISIS is murdering 90 Afghanis. And it's important to remember, I'm not telling people to love the Taliban, but it's important to remember the difference between ISIS and the Taliban, because they're going to try to conflate it. Sometimes the Taliban fights ISIS. I'm not saying the Taliban is perfect. I'm not saying they're our best friends ever. I'm just saying this was ISIS that did the attack that they're reporting. ISIS took credit for it, and the U.S. media even said it's ISIS. I just find it really weird. I really do. That Trump's in office and ISIS just stays put and doesn't really do that much and loses ground. Joe Biden's in office for under a year, and all of a sudden ISIS are killing our service members. And as much as I disagree with some things that our military does, as much as I disagree with some things that the United States government does, as much as I disagree with some things that Donald Trump does, or some things that conservatives do, or some things as much as I disagree with certain things, I don't want to see our military hurt. And when push came to shove, if you ask me the question, whose side are you on? I would say I love my country. You know, I know that it's messy in the Middle East and stuff, but I want my country protected. You could call it selfish, but it's just basic human survival. I'm an American, and at the end of the day, I want my country to succeed and not get killed or imprisoned like, you know, other countries in the past and the present. I don't believe that the modern day liberals and the modern day people that are in control right now, I don't think they feel that way. I think Joe Biden feels that way. He'll make a, you know, I'm so progressive, but in his head, I'm sure behind closed doors, he's worried about himself, his career, but they're entertaining all of this liberal Marxist ideas of like, you know, we need to go on an LGBT hike in the you need to do that in the military. We need to be more gender inclusive. We need to do our pronouns. We need to do this. And it's like, listen, if you live in San Francisco and you want to do that, I don't care. It's America. You're free. But our military, I mean, is that really the job of the military? Is that the focus of the military now? Putting masks on trained, you know, military members, putting masks on them, treating them like even more crap than you did before, and focusing on all this Marxist ideals that are really taking the American pride out of people's mind and filling it with American hate. I think if you ask a lot of these people, you know, would you rather USA get destroyed or would you rather save it and make it better than it's ever been? I don't think they like this country. I don't think they like the people here. I don't think they like the majority race here. They cheer on Jimmy Fallon when they say that they're dying of, you know, oh, the population, this race is going down, and they're all cheering. And it's like, how sick in the head are you to cheer for people dying of opioids and suicide? Because that's why the life expectancy is going down. It's not natural causes. It's not even COVID. It's opioids, suicide, and a bunch of other stuff. And they're cheering. They don't like the people here. They don't like the country. They don't like the culture. They don't like the military. So, you know, these people in charge sucks. And I'm not just saying this like, oh, I'm so conservative. The liberals are not the liberals of JFK. They're not even the liberals of Obama. They're certainly not the liberals of Bill Clinton. And they're certainly not the liberals before that. This is like a new wave of people who hate themselves, hate the country, hate the military, hate everything. And if push came to shove, and you said to me, Anomaly, it's going to get messy out there in the Middle East, and there's going to be mistakes made on both sides. Who do you want to win the battle? I would say, listen, God bless my Muslim brothers and sisters. God bless my Afghani brothers and sisters. God bless Iraq. God bless Libya. God bless Syria. God bless the world. I want my side to win. That's just how I feel. It's unfortunate that the world is so cold, but I'm on the side of America. I might not always agree with what the military is doing, but if you ask me, there's only one's going to win this battle. Do you want to win? I was like, of course. If you asked a lot of these people who are liberal and progressive and Marxist, do you want America to win? They would say, no, I want America to lose. They don't care if America gets destroyed. They don't care if they don't go down with it, because a lot of these people don't even like themselves. You know, it all roots from like self-love. You don't have to agree with your empire. You could even hope that it gets corrected. But if you ask these people, it's only this or this, they'd be like, take it all down. I'm going down with it. I don't even care. I hate myself and I hate my country. What a creepy time to watch. But aside of all of that, aside of the Afghanistan, aside of what Joe Biden could have done better and not done better, I really want to stick to this, and I'm going to move on. We could talk about this all day. I would say be very wary if you're conservative. You know, they always love to, at least in my lifetime, you see Afghanistan, you see Iraq, Syria, Libya. They love to use a pivotal moment like a 9/11 or this to pull on our heartstrings to push us into a conflict that we don't want to be in. So be very cautious to, you know, that's what they want you to do on Fox News a lot of times. It's like, yeah, let's go. And then you end up in a whole nother country, and Americans are being sacrificed for a reason that we don't even understand. So be very cautious with what they're going to try to use this to do, and CNN and Fox News, etc. But at the same time, I think it is the perfect time and an important time to say to people and try to get through to people like, listen, Joe Biden is not Joe Biden of 10 years ago. And Joe Biden of 10 years ago was not that great either. Who's running the country? Who's running the country? He's not. Trump, say what you want about him. I think some people were pulling some strings, but he was like a real person saying real things. I didn't agree with it all, but Joe Biden isn't even like making decisions about who he answers questions from. If he's not making decisions based on who he answers questions in the press from, what decisions is he making? And if he's not making the decisions, then who the hell is making the decisions? It's these people in the State Department, these people surrounded by them who use all these Marxist ways to get in power, right? They do all these little tricks. They turn everybody against each other. They use fear. They use COVID. And then they get into office and they're like, oh, I got the power. It's like, bro, it's not about you. If you're fit for the position, I'm not. If you're fit for that position, then go do the best version of that you could be. But these people are ready to destroy anyone and anything to get the power. And once they get there, people look around and these people are not competent. These people are not ready. And I don't want to sound like a partisan person, but I don't think these people like our country at all. And look no further than how they treat us. And this, I wanted to weigh in a little bit because the same day that they launched this, they did a whole thing on, I think it was Lester Holt. He did a whole thing with the officer who shot Ashley Babbitt at the Capitol. And I just wanted to say this real quick. It's a multi-pronged thing, but these people, I got sidetracked with that whole that whole situation. But at the end of the day, I hope the people in charge, I hope they like this country enough to keep it afloat. I remember what I was going to say. So after a year of lockdowns and stuff, and this is not just happening in America, this is happening in Canada, Europe, etc., Australia, we've been treated not great. Like as far as American history goes, I know there's been some worse times, but locking down your own citizens, closing down beaches, closing down parks, closing down gyms. If you're the government, even if you have to do this, if you're Chris Hayes or you're Joe Biden or you're Donald Trump or you're whoever's in charge, Democrat, Newsom, if you have a soul, you have to understand what people have gone through this last year, okay? Whether you're liberal or conservative, I feel bad for everybody. I think we're being psychologically abused. I know we are. You could say the pros outweigh the cons, but let's be honest. We're being psychologically abused. Putting on a mask is abusive. Making people do this is abusive. Spreading out lines so people can't talk to each other, making people afraid to go to events. It's very abusive. We can have a discussion later about whether it's worth it or not, but let's not ignore the fact that we got treated like shit for over a year. So when the Capitol thing happened, I didn't go. I didn't agree with it. I'll tell you why in a second for multiple reasons. It was not my scene. It wasn't something that I believed in. However, it's like they like rattled up a beehive. Trump did not help. A lot of people didn't help. But I wish that amongst this conversation of condemning and arresting people who really did illegal stuff, who deserved it, there was at least some sort of conversation about like, how long are we going to treat people like shit in this country? How long is the media going to treat these people like crap? When I saw it all manifesting, I was thinking to myself, it's like 4 years of these people bullying conservatives and then vice versa. You can get it both ways. It's like we're treating each other like shit and we're treating our citizens like shit. So I wish that conversation came into play because we're treating the military like shit too. How long are we going to put masks on people? How long are we going to act like we hate each other and we can't look each other in the eye and we can't, go do commerce? Like this is not sustainable. And it's also just super, super hard on a lot of people. So I wish the pharma industry and the government and the press, I wish they talked about that a little bit and tried to like coach people through this on both sides because a lot of people are dealing with it. So very interesting that they brought out the Capitol Police, who is a black police officer who shot Ashley Babbitt, who was like a Trump supporter / I guess Q follower from her Twitter, what they say was her Twitter, who went and broke through a broken door, according to the report I wrote, and he shot her. So I think there's two things at play here. And I think both sides are not going to be happy with what I say, but, I'm just going to be as honest as I can be. First of all, I do agree with the conservatives who say if this was a BLM protest and a white cop shot a black unarmed person, the cities would be burning right now. The next time that the George Floyd thing happens again, which is bound to happen in some way, it's not to say the exact same thing's going to happen, but there's murders all the time in Chicago. There's all sorts of crazy crap that's happening in a country of 350 million people. So the next time they can get that clip of a police officer doing something to an unarmed black person, the whole cities are going to burn. So I think it is true that on one hand, the double standards are so true. The people who claim they hate the police, all of a sudden they love the police. The people who claim there's a problem of shooting unarmed people, all of a sudden they don't care. So the left-wing hypocrisy is blaringly obvious. And I do think, I listened to a lot of the interview, I do think that it was unnecessary. And I personally think that, it didn't need to happen. On the other side, something that I don't think a lot of conservatives want to hear is also there's something called self-accountability And you shouldn't be going through a broken door at a protest turned into somewhat of a riot. People got to really think. And, I don't wish that happened to her. I think the police officer could have done something else. But at the end of the day, as a grown man or a grown woman, you got to be smart at things like this. When things get crazy, like it's a life or death situation. If you listen to Larry Elder, he was on Sacramento Bee. He said, my father taught me, as a black kid in South Central, put your hands on the wheel. Say, put your hand at 5 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whatever it is. Say, no, sir, yes, sir, grab the papers. Like, that's smart. That's how whether you're an unarmed black person in the hood or whether you're Ashley Babbitt, that's a smart way to not get killed. Like, if you care about your life enough that you're not trying to be that risky at a situation, do everything you can to either comply or at least don't push the limits of what you can do. I didn't even go to the protest, and I'm not trying to compare, but as somebody that liked Trump probably as much as Ashley Babbitt, I didn't go to the protest because I didn't trust it. And a lot of people could say whatever, but I didn't trust it because, one, Donald Trump was Moderna. When he had his Twitter, he went in overdrive selling this vaccine. I don't trust pharmacy salesmen. I don't trust them on TV. I don't trust them in government. So if you want to say you did it a few times, whatever. If you want to sell it to me every other day like Donald Trump was, I'm thinking to myself, I'm not going to this event on January 6th of a big pharmacy salesman. I don't trust him anymore. He lost my trust by just pushing this product 20 times. And then on January 6th, the big hype was amongst the Trump supporters, well, Mike Pence is going to come back. With Ashley Babbitt, if you looked at her Twitter, she had a lot of the Q stuff, a lot of the Mike Pence stuff. People were really hyping her and other people up to say, Mike Pence has a really chance to overturn this election. Did I vote for Donald Trump? Absolutely. Do I think that something was suspicious with the election? I do. I think it was suspicious that they paused it. I think the water leak was suspicious, but I wanted Donald Trump to have a legal route to doing so. Sidney Powell, Lynn Wood, they did their lawsuits. They didn't work. The Supreme Court didn't do it. And to be quite fair, as much as I think happened and thought happened, I was not blown away with the evidence they had. I was hoping and I thought it would be even bigger to the point where it's indisputable. So anyway, January 6th comes around, and because none of that stuff worked that we all thought was going to happen, they did a Hail Mary, right? They didn't have really any other options that we thought were going to work. So they said, well, maybe Mike Pence can do something that no vice president's done in hundreds of years. Maybe he can send the electorates back. And I'm already thinking to myself, Moderna, Mike Pence. I don't trust the whole thing. So I don't even go to the event, which sucks because I'm even more annoyed at people who did go because you got me in trouble as well. They're calling everybody acting like this was the craziest thing to ever happen in modern history. And you guys are low-key getting me in trouble too, even though I didn't go, because we're a team and then you guys do some stupid shit and then everyone gets in trouble. So I not only think for myself, but I wish people thought a little bit too, so you didn't set yourself and everybody up for failure. So I didn't go to the event because I didn't trust it. I didn't trust the rhetoric. I didn't trust the Moderna sales. I didn't trust him saying that Mike Pence could do something. He has Mike Pence's number. If Mike Pence could do something, Donald Trump would be the first one to know. He wouldn't have to tweet about it. I knew something was suspicious, so I didn't go. Anyway, now people go to the event, right? If I would have been at the event, which I wasn't, I would have not been one of the people in the Capitol. I can guarantee you I would have never stepped foot in the Capitol. Why? Because I'm not an idiot. I'm sorry. I'm not saying it's illegal. Like maybe some people thought it was legal, but I'm not going to go into a federal building. I'm not going to go into Nancy Pelosi's house. I'm not going to break down a door. Like I would think, yeah, they're going to arrest me and they're going to throw me in jail. I'm smart like that. I mean, I'm not the smartest person ever. I've made mistakes in my life, but like I'm not stupid enough to turn a protest into a riot, to break through some doors and like over a vaccine salesman who said Mike Pence is going to flip the election. It's basic common sense. If you want an unarmed black person to have that common sense, the conservatives and the Trump supporters should have that common sense as well. I know they were hyped off the election. I know a lot of people were locked down and they were just, letting out angst and stuff. But on the same note, I don't think the police officer should have done what he did to Ashley Babbitt, but also she shouldn't have been in there and she shouldn't have been making the situation more tense at a broken door and pushing her way through. I mean, that's a recipe to get killed. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong because people get in accidents all the time and bad things happen and people, make mistakes. But like, if for some reason I was in there, which I wouldn't have been, and it started getting really tense with the police officer, I'm not going to be the one like jumping through the door. I'm going to be the one that's like, I'm out. Like, this is getting too crazy. I'm not trying to get shot. That's just the way I think. I don't know. I do brave things sometimes, but I just don't do foolish things. So I know conservatives don't want to hear that. But at what point do you not act that way? I've been to protests liberal when I was younger, conservative recently, and there's always those tough guys. There's always the Proud Boys versus the Antifa. They're always fighting. They always got something to prove. I've been to 10 protests. I've never been in a fight. I never had a problem. I leave a protest, and all of a sudden there's something, and I'm like, that's not even in my reality because I don't act that way. But there's always got to be someone doing that. That's not me. That's why I don't even like to go to these events, because I'm not trying to get blamed for some stupid shit someone else is doing. So, I think it's sad what happened. I think it's hypocritical of them to pretend like they like police officers now. I think it's hypocritical of them to say that, shooting an unarmed person is cool now as long as it's white and the officer's black and the roles are reversed. But at the same time, it's like, what are you doing? And someone said, take a stand. Here's the thing too. It's like, and I'm going to move on after this. Everybody on the right wing talks about 5G chess all the time, we're playing 5-dimensional chess. If you're playing 5-dimensional chess, the Capitol event was the dumbest thing you could have possibly done. Nothing happened. No results were changed. Hundreds of people got arrested. Hundreds of people got, charged. Some of the biggest Trump organizers have been laying low and nowhere to be found because they're probably dealing with federal court cases. So you didn't win. That's not a battle you want. That's the stupidest thing. And now everybody's getting looked at like terrorists. And now dozens and hundreds of Trump supporters are on lists. And now people that weren't even at the Capitol are getting called by the FBI. And now it's a whole big thing. And now they have a reason. And now Democrats are fundraising off it. And now Gavin Newsom's using it to try to get votes for the recall. So you only help them with that thing. Someone said shill. It has nothing to do with shill. If you want to play 5D chess and you're going to say you're playing, actually do something that's like a chess move. That's like a checkers move, getting yourself set up for failure. Joe Biden's in the office. You didn't accomplish anything, and you only got everybody in trouble and somebody killed. That's not 5D chess, okay? So that's my point, where it's like, if you're going to take a stand, what is that? That's just like being angry and being like, well, I need to do something. It's like, well, okay. If you're a boxer, you can't get angry. If you get angry as a boxer, you get your ass knocked out. You have to be alert. You have to be aware. Boxing isn't just about punching all the time. Boxing is about defending. And if Floyd Mayweather was just like this all the time, he'd be 0 for 50. Instead, it's the other way around. He's undefeated because he defends and he moves. So I understand sometimes people just want to do whatever they want, but it's like, that's how you get arrested. That's how you get shot. That's how you get set up by the FBI. And that's how you get targeted for 10 years. And that's how you make your whole movement a fool of, look a fool. So if this is a big movement and everyone's a part of it, someone says it's not soft. It's stupid. If you want to break into Nancy Pelosi's office, you could go to prison. I don't know what do you think you're going to accomplish? Nancy Pelosi's still in the office. Nancy Pelosi has more power. Nancy Pelosi put those people in prison, and Nancy Pelosi has probably fundraised millions of dollars while you're rotting in jail. That's tough. You're a tough guy. What did you accomplish? Oh, that's 5D. And you're not doing anything. Nothing happened. Everybody just got set up for failure. So someone said, take a stand intelligently. Absolutely. And with this COVID stuff, people always ask me and get all mad. And I'm like, I'm not even saying this to be soft. The answer is peaceful. You could go punch a wall and this is still going to be there tomorrow. You could have 1,000 Trump supporters just punch walls. It's not going to end the COVID thing. If you stop taking tests, if you don't get the jab and you don't take the mask, now it's a different story. That might actually accomplish something. It's called peaceful noncompliance. And I'm not telling people what to do. I'm not a medical advisor. I'm not your boss, etc. I'm just saying it doesn't need to be that. That's smart. You listen to people like Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was not a softie. He's probably could have kicked everyone's ass. But he didn't think let me just go punch all the time. It's the Tao, it's the Zen, I'm like an ocean. You know what I'm saying? There's an old saying, it's not the hard part of the pot that makes it usable or the tea kettle. It's the inside, it's the emptiness. What the emptiness defines it. The emptiness inside it is what allows for there to be liquids inside. It's a deep concept, but I'm just saying that's the type of thinking of a 5-dimensional chess player or whatever you want to call it. 5G. I said 5G chess. I meant 5D chess. So that might not be the most popular, but I think it's a multi-pronged thing. I think he was trigger happy. I don't think he needed to do it. I think he probably didn't like the people. But at the same time, teach your kids, whether they're black or white, whether they're conservative or liberal, teach your kids to not be the person who runs away from the police out of a car or attacks a police officer. Teach your kids to not be the person who runs in through a broken door in a Capitol that they probably shouldn't have even been with around a bunch of other pissed off people because they're pissed off that Mike Pence didn't overturn the election. I'm sorry, that was stupid from the beginning. You could call me. It's not a shill. I had foresight. If people would have listened to me and done what I did, you guys wouldn't be targeted as terrorists. You guys, it's not smart. And some of the people, it's like they always want to make a scene. They always have to take it to the, what's that going to do? So you could do whatever you want, but I'm just saying, if I was there, which I wasn't, I wouldn't have done that. And I think most people should think like that if their goal is to be effective and to stay safe. So, not the most popular part of my video, but I think it's important. To each their own. I'll answer questions about it later. Someone said, I'm going to read this real quick. Someone said, be smart. You're acting foolishly hurts us all. And that's the point I'm trying to get to, because I'm my own person, right? I don't work for any organization, but at the same time, people look at me and they say, well, he likes Trump, right? He does this. He's a conservative. He speaks at these events. So of course, everybody has a tribe. My tribe is America. In many ways, my tribe is conservatives. So when you do that, it is true. It doesn't just affect you. If we're all a team and you do stupid crap like that, you're hurting everybody. You're not just hurting yourself, you're hurting everybody. And I'm not saying I'm hurt by it. I have no fear, but the amount of people that did crap at the Capitol, it was like a spider effect. So they said, well, they know them. And next thing you know, everybody that would be effective at fighting medical tyranny peacefully are now under investigation or getting calls, or there's a tip, or these people. I mean, they just put Bryson Gray on a list for being there. Like, that's creepy stuff. I think they put there's like hundreds of, this is not the way you want to start a Biden administration. We started it with failure. And in many ways, no offense, but I'm not blaming Donald Trump like he should be charged for it, but he kind of walked his base into failure. I don't know what else to say. I could have been there. I didn't go because I didn't trust him selling things. And Mike Pence, bro, just give him a phone call. You think I'm going to talk about Candace Owens? If I want to talk to Candace Owens, I'll just give her a phone call. I don't have to tell you, well, maybe Candace Owens can know. It's like, he has Mike Pence's phone number. If he could have overturned the election, he would have told you. He was bullshitting and throwing a Hail Mary. And unfortunately, hundreds of people got arrested, or hundreds of people got set up. I'm sorry, but that's not a team that I don't move that way. I try to move way more smooth than that, but to each their own. God bless you guys. I'm going to move on. So Ian Smith, if you guys know, he's a legendary gym, owner of Atlas Gym in New Jersey. He became very famous, I think, over the pandemic because he decided not to close, and him and Phil Murphy were having back and forth. I love Ian Smith. Personally, I don't want to tell you my opinion of this. I guess I already did, but I like Ian Smith a lot. I can't say I've met him, but I like his energy. I think he's a true patriot. I think he gets it. And I think, him doing what he did was like a real big thing in American history as far as standing up and not complying and not locking down. Love Ian Smith. So he kind of said something about Dan Crenshaw, and Dan Crenshaw responded. Dan Crenshaw is a congressman from Texas. So this is Ian Smith on Instagram. He just posted his tweet. He said, reckless Joe Biden pullout, open power vacuum, surrender entire country of weapons, sloppy evacuation, terrorist attack at airport. Media brings on neocons and rhinos like Dan Crenshaw to talk strategy. 30K unvetted refugees, start new war home and abroad. See how that works. So he kind of started it. He tagged Dan Crenshaw, called him a neocon and a rhino. And Ian Smith is predicting that they're going to use this as a way to start a new war overseas and a way to basically, flood the country with more refugees that wouldn't have come here naturally. So that's Ian Smith's take, but he specifically called out Dan Crenshaw. So Dan had the right to respond. Dan Crenshaw said, want to be tough guys that never did anything but talk shit and LARP as a patriot. That's what I see here. Adorable, really, but also kind of sad. So Dan Crenshaw said, you're LARPing, you're a wannabe tough guy. And Ian Smith responded. This is Ian Smith's response. He said, Dan, so I had to look up LARPing. Role-playing as a patriot, you say? Please explain how. Where were you when American liberties and livelihoods were being crushed nonsensical and oppressive COVID restrictions? You were tweeting about blowing more taxpayer money on more stimulus packages instead of actually fixing the problem. We stood our ground at Atlas just like many of other small businesses and Americans did. We're LARPing? Nah. We put everything on the line while you sat around getting paid to pretend to be working for the people. Cut the crap with the wannabe tough guy lines. Nobody is trying to be tough except you. keep banging war drums, advocating for red flag laws, and voting in massive COVID spending bills. So, woo, that was quite the right left. I'm not gonna lie. So, I think Dan had a right to respond, but I said this about Dan for a year, and it's not like a gossip thing because I'm sure me and Dan would get along. He seems like a nice guy. We have mutual friends. Like, I don't think he's like a terrible person to hang around. Super calm guy. He does very well on The View, and there's definitely conservative things that we overlap. But overall, I kind of lost respect for him as an American freedom fighter years ago because he can't even seem to understand the first two amendments, in my perspective. So Dan Crenshaw was floating the idea of red flag laws when there were a few shootings. Dan Crenshaw was like, well, just floating the idea, like red flag law, maybe if you have some mental issues. And here's the problem that I think Dan Crenshaw had to back up on that. I agree with Dan Crenshaw in a perfect world, right? In a perfect world where everything works perfect and the government's just great and the people are great, it would make sense to be like, well, if you have a crazy mental problem, you can't own a gun. But here's the problem. Who's going to define what mental illness means or mental problems? There's a lot of veterans who might classify as having PTSD. Did they lose their gun? A veteran who fought for this country? There's people who have no problems who might just get a divorce and the wife says something and now it's filed in court. They might lose their gun. So it's a slippery slope. The Second Amendment's a slippery slope. In a perfect world, I'd support red flag laws, but I could already tell you if they said, well, if you have something going on mentally, we could take your gun away. They could say, well, you posted about COVID lockdowns and that reminds me of a neo-Nazi. So I'm going to say that you're brainwashed and you got to take your gun. Like, this is not the time to infringe on the Second Amendment. Let's just put it that way. So Dan Crenshaw has already proven that he doesn't understand the Second Amendment. And also, he's not even good on the First Amendment. I told you that Dan got asked a question about the anti-Semitism speech laws, which infringe on the First Amendment. And he didn't answer. He was like, he just like went off. He's like, I've heard about you gripers. You guys are anti-Semites. And I just don't really respect him as a freedom fighter. He's bad on the First Amendment. He's bad on the Second Amendment. And I think Ian Smith is a real patriot. I think Ian Smith gets it. He's a real guy. And, he kind of started it by tagging Dan Crenshaw, but I kind of agree with Ian Smith. And a lot of these Republicans are so good at being likable and so good at being on our side, but I have to show people what the Republicans are doing. Because there's one state, I'm going to do a whole video on it. Montana has officially banned vaccine passports under the guise of discrimination, I believe, for corporations. They're the first state to do it, according to the news. So all these other states, Florida, Oklahoma, all these states that you think are doing that are not actually doing it. They're leaving the door open for corporations to jam it down your throat. Montana actually did that. So that's a politician who actually does something, right? There's these other politicians like Mitch McConnell and even sometimes Trump. I know people don't want to say it, where they don't do as much as people think they're doing. And I think in March, April, May, June, July, August of last year, a lot of politicians showed their face on both sides. It was like this elitist thing. We'll decide when you open up. I mean, that really hurt. That really did not feel good to me because obviously I like Trump. I voted for him. But to hear both sides, Birx, Fauci, Trump, Newsom, Murphy, all of them, DeSantis even, to hear them act like they had the right to tell us when to open. I mean, we'll extend the lockdown. No, the cure is better than the virus. Oh, wait, no, it's not. Like, they were just playing Russian roulette with our lives, with our freedom. I didn't like that at all. And I didn't see Crenshaw or any of these organizations. I didn't see him come out as this big patriot saying, open up. I don't recall what he wrote, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ian was right and he's just tweeting about stimulus bills. Like, these people are elitists. Even the ones that act like they're on our side, a lot of times they benefit from how bad the left is, right? The left is, in my opinion, so egregious right now that it's easy to beat them, right? If you're in Congress and you're a Republican, you're going to look better than Nancy Pelosi. So you really don't have to do that much. You put on a cowboy hat, I'm a patriot, you go on The View, and then you try to pass red flag laws, First Amendment law, and nobody even notices because they're just fighting the left. So a lot of Republicans are like that. And I have to bring up Israel again. God bless my friends in Israel. God bless my friends in Palestine as well. But in general, I saw Mitch McConnell tweet yesterday. He was like, I'm working with Israel on this deal. Like, Mitch McConnell is not focused on the American people. Mitch McConnell's now focused on the Israeli people. He's not saying anything about the fact that they're getting forced to take a third jab or else they're going to lose their green passport. I have followers in Israel that say they're threatening their kids now. That's not something Mitch McConnell's interested in. So when they tell you they love Israel so much, understand that these Zionists and neocons and Republicans, they're not interested in like Israeli people. They're not interested in your Jewish friends. They're interested in like $1 billion, relief bills and $1 trillion, stimulus. Like that's what they're in the business of doing. So they tap into Christians and a lot of people because Christians, a lot of them are like, well, we love Israel. We love Israel. And they tap into that because they're like, we love Israel. And everyone's like, hell yeah. And it's like, they don't give a crap about the Israeli people. I'm the only one that I've seen really besides Alex Berenson, but I'm talking like conservative, patriot type influencer. I'm the only one talking about Israel. I'm the only one going over the data. I'm the only one telling you the people there, in my opinion, are being oppressed. They're not doing any of that. They're like, we need it. So just understand that with the Crenshaw types and the McConnell types and even the Trump, sometimes they don't seem that interested in the actual people losing their freedom in Israel. They seem a lot more interested in these grandiose government deals between the two and big pharma deals. So I want people to understand the difference because they've used Israel to pass speech laws for the last 4 years and call everybody an anti-Semite. And those people are shockingly nowhere to be found right now for Israelis and shockingly nowhere to be found for Americans. We're facing vaccine mandates. I should call her Vaccine Waters instead of Maxine Waters. I just thought Vaccine Waters. No, anyway, this is what's going on in our country, and none of these Republicans seem to like care that much at all. So it's up to us to care. I see the shift. I see a lot of patriots really stepping up. I think last week things really changed, and I pray that everyone stays peaceful, stays calm, stays rational. But don't be afraid to do what Ian Smith did and challenge your favorite Republican and be like, listen, I like you. I voted for you. I fundraised for you, but you don't seem to care that much. And I made another video talking about it. That is what to do. What Montana did, they're putting it under the guise, I believe, I got to relook at it. They're putting the vaccine mandate under the guise of discrimination. So you got to understand, if every conservative doesn't start doing this, you're going to be forced it. I've explained it a little bit, but don't let these phony libertarians convince you that this is libertarian. Well, no, we believe in the corporations, right? Yeah, right. Oh, you guys, oh yeah, we're so free. You weren't a libertarian last year when all you morons were locking down and printing stimulus. Libertarians don't print $9 trillion. Don't let these Republicans, oh, we're libertarians now. When push came to shove, you were socialists. When push came to shove, you were into communism. When push came to shove, you're out here doing all this stuff. And then when it comes time to defend the people that you screwed over, all of a sudden they want to sit back like Larry Elder and Chrissy Noem and say, I'm a libertarian. And it's not Larry Elder's fault. He's not even in politics yet. But I'm just saying, if or when he becomes the governor, be nice to him, but don't give him a pass. If he tries to be like, oh, well, it's just the corporations. You can't do anything you want in a corporation. I can't kick you out because you're too fat. Could I? Could I kick you out because you're too skinny? I don't think so. Could I kick you out because you're too small or too tall, or you have a disease and I'm kicking you out because you have HIV or cancer? You can't just do anything you want in a corporation. You can't kick people out because they don't take Advil. You can't kick out somebody because he's black. So why in the world would you be able to do this for the jab? This is not libertarianism. This is authoritarianism. And before I end, the Democrats are serious with this stuff. This is why it's like they push all this stuff through and the Republicans like Crenshaw just play this little tap dance game, God bless Ian Smith. He's on it. And no disrespect to Dan Crenshaw. We like you personally, or at least I think you're a nice guy. This is the core of what America's dealing with right now. And if you get to the core of a time when America needed to stand for their freedom in 2020, Ian Smith did 1,000,000 times more than you. We appreciate your service. We would never take it away for you. But when push came to shove for American freedom, whether you're a military member or not, a lot of people were at the front lines like Ian Smith, and a lot of people that we love were absent. So we're asking you to not be absent. We're asking you to take mandates seriously, and we're asking you to understand that the Democrats are using the pandemic, the emergency, to push forward their idea of a new world, their idea of what is authoritarian. I'm going to read it again, and then I'm going to end. Liberal means willing to respect others' opinions. Liberal means a social philosophy that promotes individual rights and civil liberties. Democrats are not liberal anymore. They're the opposite of liberal. They're authoritarian. They are dictator status. That's what they want to do. They're literally like, we're going to put people in camps if you have a disease, and healthy people are going to be on lockdown. Like, that's not liberal. That's like psychotic slave master level, like tyranny going on in their heads. And I want to read one more tweet before. So the Republicans got to get serious. Seriously. This is a tweet I shared, and then I'm going to get to questions. I shared this tweet on Facebook because it looks fake, but it's real. It was two liberals talking. One of them said, it's on Twitter. Disgusted to report that walking a mile or so 3 times a week has in fact improved my general body condition and chronic pain level. It's BS that exercise people are right. And someone said, I'm dealing with the same thing. The cause of my severe lower back pain is literally just sitting on the couch all day, and exercise and sitting less makes it go away. I resent it so much. So first of all, I understand. I saw the comments. Some people with chronic pain, it doesn't go away. I'm not saying all cases, but a lot of people, it does help. Some people, it doesn't. I saw the comments. I understand that. But this is not a joke, and they were not being sarcastic. I know it looks like it. These are two people with pronouns in their bio. These are two people that are liberal progressives. I went through their whole feed, and it's all like COVID, 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 blah, blah, blah. They're literally like, oh, I tried exercise, and it does work, and I'm really upset about it because, the gym bros were right. This is how these people think. These are the type of people telling you can't go to the gym or you can't go to the store. They're people who are like, they don't even realize that exercise helps you in some form a lot of times. These people are like, this is the mindset of the new progressive. They're like, we love black people. We just don't want you to eat at the same restaurant as us if you don't get the big pharma product. You mean the big pharma product that even Bloomberg is admitting the Israel data? I mean, these people don't care. You can compare Israel, you can compare all these, majority vaccinated countries to other countries, and the correlations are just not there. So even Bloomberg is admitting that the Israeli study shows that natural immunity may be better. Bloomberg, not me. Bloomberg. You guys aren't going to be able to lie forever. Yeah, you guys aren't going to be able to treat everybody like slaves forever. They are. I'm not even being like metaphoric. They have the mind of a slave master. Seriously, they're like, we love black people. We just don't want you to come to our comedy club. We don't want you to come to our restaurant. We don't want you to leave your house sometimes. Hold on. Shoot. Hold on one second. Sorry. My Facebook thing went down because I got a call and I clicked the wrong button. Hold on one second. Let me try to get rid of it. My goodness. Sorry. Someone called me. I got to just wait a few seconds and it's going to turn off. Darn it. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I had a phone call come in and I hit the wrong button. So they're like, we don't want to let you in a comedy store, a gym, out of your house. If you don't get the jab, we don't want you to work in our city. You can't even work in our city if you don't get this. Oh, that's like 70% of black youth. Well, like they have the mind of a slave master. Like, who is that sick in the head that thinks you shouldn't be able to make money in society if you don't get a pharmacy product that even Bloomberg business and Israeli data is admitting doesn't work like they said? But you still want to force it on people and kick. These people are insane, folks. And that's why I go so hard at Republicans. Like, what part of this do they not understand? There's people that I've heard that worked for the military or some sort of offshoot where it's like they're not even able to access their money if they don't get the jab. They're not even in it, but their money's being shut off if they don't get the jab. And I believe Oregon or another state, I got to look it up exactly, but they're working on not allowing people to have unemployment or benefits where if you get fired because of the jab, they don't want you to even get unemployment. In California, they're trying to pass a law now that says that everybody has to get it all the time. So, like, what part do Republicans not understand? I think they're in on it, but what part do people not understand? I don't care if you voted for Trump or not, or like, what part do you not understand that this is never going to end? What part do you not understand that they have the mind of a psychotic authoritarian slave master? Under Obama, liberal literally meant we agree with other people's ideas. Under Biden and under the last 4 years of Trump that drove people insane, it's like we're liberal, and that literally means the opposite of what liberal means. We're going to close you out of a store. I'm not taking it. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I've gotten things before under my own choice. I had the option to take it or not. Did I have pressure? Of course. But I made a decision. that I came to the conclusion of. You can't tell me I have to be a big pharmacy customer for life. Well, you're a big pharma customer for life. Every 6 months, every 8 months, every 6 months, every 4. They don't even know. They're now changing it from 8 months to 6 months for your booster. 1.1 million booster shots in Israel have been administered, and they have way more cases than they had last August. And to be quite frank, they're on pace for more deaths if they don't already have it as well. It doesn't work like they said it worked. They're admitting it's 95% efficient. They said not 39% efficient. And now Bloomberg's even admitting Israel data says that people who actually got the actual thing are seeming so far maybe to have better immunity than people with the jab. It's like, do you think these aren't a thing? Like, you think a 22-year-old that's freaking jacked and works out and plays sports is the same as being 80 and morbidly obese? It's not the same thing. I'll be a pharmacy customer if I want to be a pharmacy customer. The government and the pharmacy industry can't force me to be a pharmacy customer for life. This is insane. So I hope Republicans like Crenshaw and Trump wake up and realize that this is the game that they're playing right now, and they're forcing it down our throats, because if they don't get serious about it, this is never going to end. And that's why I made the video about Trump. People are like, well, he doesn't get it. He's talking about, he thinks he eliminated COVID and saved the whole world. It's like he's in his own head thinking he's like, you know, the Bill Gates Nobel Prize winner or something. It's like, no, wake up, dude. They're using this as a way to undermine your base. And it's so counterproductive. And I want to say one more thing. Sorry, I'm on a little rant, but if the vaccine was proven to not spread or contract the virus, it would make sense to put masks on only unvaccinated people, and it would make sense on testing vaccinated people. I'm not saying I would agree with it, but it would make scientific sense a little bit. It makes no scientific sense to say that what they're doing around the world in sports leagues, etc., if you get the vaccine, you don't have to get tested every week. If you don't get the vaccine, you have to get a test every week. Well, did you know vaccinated people can actually get COVID too and spread it? So how come they don't have to get tested? It's not because it's scientific. It's not because they're trying to slow the spread. It's because they're bullies. They're medical, psycho, authoritarian bullies. And they want to bully you into getting the vaccine so you don't get the test. It's not scientific. Oh, well, you know, we're only going to make people who didn't get the jab take the test, because if you did get the vaccine, well, what? What is Bloomberg saying now? What is Israel data saying? What is the data from all over the world comparing countries who have a lot to not? What's that saying right now? Is that justifying what you're doing? It's not justifying. They're bullies. They're trying to bully you. And if you let authoritarian psychopaths bully you now, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. Well, I'm going to do this and they're going to stop. They're never going to stop. Booster shot every 6 months, booster shot whenever they want, new product whenever they want, mask back on whenever they want, mass testing whenever they want. And people are like, I got to do it. I'm sure people do, but I'm not doing it. Not because I'm so great, not because I know where this leads. This leads to where everybody thinks it leads. How could it not? Why would they only test people who didn't get the vaccine if people who got the vaccine can also contract the virus? In Israel, they're publishing data, article after article saying, you know, this surge is not just the Orthodox unvaccinated, it's a lot of the vaccinated. Bloomberg's like, well, actually, maybe natural immunity is good. Who knows? It's like, come on, folks. I know it's tough for people because military, this, that. I know it's tough. I'm just saying, like, this only ends. It's not going to be Biden or Trump. It's not going to be DeSantis. It's going to be people like in Colorado saying enough's enough. I was in Breckenridge, liberal area. No one had a mask on. A lot of them are liberal. The CDC said to put it on. They didn't listen. Why? A lot of them probably got the jab and they felt slighted. It's summertime. I'm not wearing a mask. None of the employees wore a mask. I still see people wearing masks as employees. Do you guys realize there's tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people working around the world with no mask? I live in an area where more than half of the businesses have no mask. If your boss is still forcing you to wear a mask, like, ask him to stop abusing you. I don't know what to say. It's like, you know, there's people that don't have to do this. I know people think it's not normal. It's not normal and it's not popular. So, all right, a few questions and then I got to go out. I got to make a phone call. Thank you, Tina. Appreciate you. Someone said, well, I'm not going to read that, but what's up? Someone said they're doing a mask mandate again. Look at Australia, look at Canada, look at New York City. That's the future. It's a slippery slope. It's already here. There is no we listen and it ends. And I hope everybody knows, whether it be police officers, military, government workers, teachers, doctors, nurses, I hope everybody realizes where this is going. We don't have to assume where it could go. It's already happening. When you allow people to do this type of power abuse, they don't just like stop on a dime unless people stop them. And the way to stop them is peaceful and legal. Just say no. People don't want to say no, though. I'm going to say this real quick, and then I'll get to questions. I call this the restaurant test, and this is why America's failing. And it's going to hurt some people's feelings because it's not Joe Biden and it's not Donald Trump. And it's not pro-Biden and it's not pro-Trump. And it's anti-Biden and it's not anti-Trump. It's not the Democrats. It's not the Republicans. It's not Fox. It's nobody. It's called the restaurant test. The restaurant test is, are you willing to stand up for what you believe even when nothing is on the line and it won't affect you in the very, very slightest? And the truth is, even in a lot of conservative areas, most people are not willing to do that. So I live in an area where a majority of the people are Republican. Months ago, when restaurants were telling people, not all of them, but a lot of restaurants, they were telling people the policy of Gavin Newsom was wear a mask, walk 5 steps, and wear a mask. You have to wear a mask when you go in a restaurant. You wear the mask. They walk you to your seat, indoor or outdoor, and then you sit at the seat and you take your mask off. Everybody knows that's not science. Everybody knows your air for 5 seconds doesn't matter if you're sitting in the restaurant for an hour. Everybody knows that's ridiculous. Everybody knows that's an abuse of authority, but it's really more of a test than it is an inconvenience, because it's like, yes, it's inconvenient, but it's not that inconvenient. It's only for 5 seconds, and it's not that hard to do. So it's a test of like, how easy are you to control? And my area failed. Almost everybody failed. My friends failed. Conservatives failed. Trump supporters failed. Everybody failed. You know why? Because they all said, well, I want to eat at this restaurant, so I'm going to listen to these people and I'm going to do what they say for as long as they say, because I really want to sit there. You're not in the Bolshevik Revolution. You don't have to starve to death. You're not in some sort of like Chinese genocide where you only have a little bit of rice or something like Ip Man, the movie. That's not what you're living in. You could go to 15 other restaurants. You could get takeout. You could do all sorts of things. You could say something to the manager and let them know what they're doing is wrong. So this is an easy test. It's like, you almost have nothing on the line, just that one restaurant. There's 20 other restaurants you could go to, and people were not willing to take that risk. So if people aren't even willing to go to a different restaurant, they don't have to starve to death. They don't have to sit for 48 hours without food. They simply just have to defend themselves and say the truth at a time when they have the slightest inconvenience. I watched 99% of my community, although it's conservative and Republican, bow down to the mask rule and the restaurant rule. So what does that mean? It means you're doomed for failure. It means if you can't even stand up when there's nothing, barely anything on the line, how in the world are you going to be able to stand up when everything's on the line? So you fail that test. 6 months later, now they're mandating it on nurses. Now they're mandating it on planes. Now they're mandating it. This doesn't end. You couldn't even stand up for yourself when nothing mattered. Now everything matters. And of course, nobody's going to do it because they couldn't even do it before. I call that the restaurant test. Every restaurant I went in with a mask, I either didn't have it on or I said, hey, I'm not doing this. I want to just walk to my seat without it on. Well, it's our policy. Let me speak to the manager. Hey, this isn't science. I would have a conversation with them. I don't want to eat here anymore. I can't walk to an outdoor table with a mask on. Well, I'm sorry, sir. I've already eaten here 10 times. I didn't have to do it. Well, I'm sorry, sir. That's the policy. I'm like, well, you're a wicked person. You're a follower. You're a sheep. And you're implementing a policy that you don't believe in because you're being told to do it. What wouldn't you do? You'd be the person in World War II that just slaughters people because they're higher up there. Well, it's not me. Sorry. It's like, you're a terrible person. I would let them know everywhere I went. And then I would go to another business. I still don't eat at restaurants. Still, to this day, who did that to me then? I give all my service to other places that didn't do that to me. Was that hard for me to do? Was that the most difficult thing in the world? Did I suffer? Am I such a hero and an activist? No, I'm nothing. It's easy because there's 1,000 restaurants in my area. Just like in most people's area, there's a lot. Unless you live in the rural area, you probably have 40 other places you could eat. And you couldn't even take a stand for yourself then. Why do you think Donald Trump's going to save you? Why do you think Rhonda said they're not going to save you? You can't even save yourself. I call that the restaurant test. And that just shows you how lazy and compliant our country is. I'm the type of person that I'd lived in the woods and starved to death before I gave into medical tyranny. I would do that, really. But you can't even go to another restaurant. So Yeah, that's why a lot of people love Trump so much. It's not because they're so nice. It's because they want to live vicariously through Donald Trump, and their whole world shatters if he's not going to save their whole world because they're not willing to save themselves. So they sit there and idolize Trump like a biblical figure, hoping that he'll save their life because if it comes down to them, they're not doing shit. That's why a lot of people like him. Not everyone, but the people who get so mad at my takes on Trump, they're not like these loyal heroes who really like Trump for who he is. They're just excuse makers because they're scared to death of actually doing something for themselves. And they know if the Republican Party doesn't save them, which they probably won't, that they're screwed. But that shows how far we've fallen as a society, as a country. They never could have got away with this in the 50s or 60s or 70s or 80s or 90s, only after they watered us down to this two-party, computers. Now we put up with this crap. So that's really... Someone said restaurants need our money to keep them in business. Well, if a restaurant is so tyrannical that they're trying to force me to do something, I hope they go bankrupt. Seriously, I hope they go bankrupt. You know, there's a place in my neighborhood, in my area, there's multiple, but there's multiple places that didn't ever do that. And guess what happened to them? Guess what crazy bad thing happened to them? I'm going to tell you. Nothing happened to them. All the restaurants that didn't force that policy onto people, guess what happened to them? Nothing. They're fine. They would have been fine. Nobody was going around. I live in an area where our county police said, we will not be enforcing this. So none of these people had to do it. They did it because they're cowards. They're idiots. They're losers. It's not like they were running around in my area arresting everybody. We have a conservative county clerk who said, I'm not enforcing this. So feel free to do what you want. We're not enforcing this tyrannical policy. That's a hero. Not these idiots. Well, they're going to go out of bankrupt. They should go bankrupt. If they can't even tell people to not wear a mask for 5 seconds, oh, well, we're afraid. You're afraid of who? Who's going to do something? The next door business didn't do it, and no, they got no fines. No one ever said anything to them. It's like it's a test to see how sheep people are. Seriously, there's this old saying that they said, push this button and people will die. Like they would do this psychological test, and most people would do it because they felt disconnected. It's just like, you go here, you stand on this thing, stand on this dot, now stand on this dot, now stand on this dot, 6 feet apart. They're sending you to the slaughterhouse. It's like, yep, just look straight. Don't look to the side. There's like choppers coming at you. Like, don't look over there. No, just look. Trust me, we're all in this together. Like, that's why on one hand, I feel so bad for the people who are affected. I feel bad for the mothers and people who are trying to take care of their family, but I don't feel bad for the cowards. I feel bad for the brave people, but there's so many people in my life where it's like, I'm not going to do that. Then why do you deserve anything? What's the point of supporting Trump if you don't like, oh, don't do that. Don't say, I'm like, get off me. Like, no, this is why the country goes to shit, because everybody just falls in line. I'll never get a test. Actually, I want to go. I'm going to go get a test. I'll never do that. Actually, I want to eat there. I'll do it. Okay. Well, okay. Then I guess we're just going to do this forever then. And well, dude, I like Trump. Who cares how much you like Trump if you can't even do one little basic thing to be like somewhat of part of the change in this country, So that's called the restaurant test. And we failed, at least in my area, because I would look around and everybody, I want to eat here. I'll wear it for 5 seconds. Okay. Well, that 5 seconds is going to turn into 5,000 years. So someone said, I purposely don't stand on their dots. Yeah. It's like slave conditioning or prisoner or like robot conditioning. Like it is the drying of humanity, the human spirit, the brain, the creative aspect, the concerts, put a dot, spread everybody out. It's the destruction of humanity. But here's the good news. We're going to end on a positive note. After this period, the dark period, it's always the light period. Some would say the Renaissance appears. So I'm waiting for that. Someone said that to me the other day, talking about the Renaissance. I'm ready for the Renaissance because that's when the great art is made. That's when the great culture is made. So there's room for it now. But when things shift back, which they always do in history, we'll be in a Renaissance period where freedom comes back, where art comes back. We'll get there. No one wants to live this way. This is not pleasurable for liberals and progressives. They're like spoiled babies who got a powerful position who don't deserve it. Like once they sit back down and time out, everything will be fine again. And it's not just the progressives, by the way. I'm just saying. Someone said, Anomaly, have you heard they're suggesting doing a booster shot every 6 months? I did hear that. Every 6 months would be 2 times a year if they decide to go with that policy. 2 big pharma shots a year. What a good business method, right? Everybody has to get your product, even if it doesn't work as good as they said, even if Bloomberg's admitting the Israeli data said natural immunity is better. Guys, this is like really not good. I don't know what people like. They're admitting in Bloomberg today. Bloomberg Business is admitting the Israel data says that natural immunity might be better against the Delta than the Pfizer shot. I'm not saying this. I'm not a scientist. I'm not Israeli. This is Bloomberg referencing Israeli data, which is now the biggest case study in the world on the Pfizer shot because over 60% of their citizens got it. So why would they force it in people? Guys, this is like one of the most abusive things that's ever happened in my lifetime by the government. If you think you're just going to get in line and do this stuff and it's all going to go away, you're mistaken. Well, it's the easy thing to do. It's easy. Just wait 3 years and see where this goes. If you allow them to do this, even though there's no scientific reasoning behind it, there used to be a scientific reasoning behind it. I don't agree with it, but they used to say, we're going to reach herd immunity. It's 95% effective. This wasn't 15 years ago that they said this. This was in February. They said 95% effective. We're all going to get it. We're all going to reach herd immunity. And I said, I'll consider it. Let me see how the next couple of months goes. And it's 39% effective. You need a booster shot quicker than they thought. Natural immunity might work better according to Bloomberg Israel studies, literally mainstream stuff today. It's on Bloomberg. Oh, well, you still have to get it. 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 Excuse my language. Get the fuck out of my face, you psychopaths. That's the correct response. I'm not a big cursor. I don't like to curse my audience. You have to get it. We don't care that it doesn't work like we said. We don't care. Yeah, we said 95. Now it's 35. Now the data. Get the fuck out of my face, you psychopath, because this is violence. You want to talk about forcing a needle into somebody to work somewhere and they don't want to get it against their will, or else they're going to be banned from society of a jab that they once said would reach herd immunity that they're admitting won't. There's no science behind it. If this is 95% effective or 100% effective and we're going to reach herd immunity, there's literally science involved. If it's 39% effective, you need a booster. And even Bloomberg Business is admitting that from the Israeli studies, it's looking like natural immunity is better than the booster or rather the first one. It's not scientific. This is like a violent authoritarian assault on humanity. Like, if you want to suggest that I get a medication, that's fine. If you want to try to force a needle into my arm or ban me from society, that's violence. This is how Montana's looking at it. That's discrimination. Call it what you want. This is not freedom. This is not libertarianism. You can't just walk around and do whatever you want like this. This is psychotic. The fact that people are allowing this is insane. It's like equivalent to someone running. I'm like, get the hell out of my face. Like, I've heard your sales pitch a million times. It doesn't work. Like you said, fact check this. This is not my opinion. This is not my opinion. They said it was 95% effective in February. Then they said it was 39% effective. Can you do the math and figure out how much that dropped? But then they said it's good against severe illness. Cool. Okay. Then they said, well, actually, according to our studies, I'm just going to read right out of Bloomberg. This is Bloomberg Business headline today on their Instagram. It says, a previous bout of COVID may prevent Delta infection better than a Pfizer shot. People who recovered from a bout of COVID-19 during one of the earlier waves of the pandemic appear to have a lower risk of contracting the Delta variant than those who got 2 doses of the Pfizer vaccine. If your boss is forcing you to get this stuff, print this out. It's right on Instagram. They have a whole article about it. Or go to Bloomberg. Say, hey, how does it make sense to force vaccinate me if I've had it? And it literally, the biggest study that we have out of Israel says that it's actually better to have immunity from the first wave than it is the jab. If they still want to force it in you, guess what they are? They're not a scientist. They're not an expert. They're not getting herd immunity. They are a psychopath. They are a psychotic authoritarian scumbag. And if everybody treated them like that, peacefully, semi-respectfully, but get out of my face, you psychopath, this would end tomorrow. I don't like, it's not even in my DNA to allow this to happen. Well, I have to do it. I would rather go broke. I'm sorry. If they said, Anomaly, you can't log into Facebook tomorrow if you don't get it, well, I guess I'm losing a lot of money then. Sucks. It was fun while it lasted. I'm not caving to these psychopaths. They don't know who I am. They don't know my routine. They don't know what I do. They don't know how I work out. They don't know how I exercise. They don't know what I have. They don't know if I have comorbidities. They don't know my past history. They don't know my immune system. They don't know my diet regimen. You know, I don't get forced anything. A vegan's not going to force vegetables into my throat, and Pfizer's not going to force a jab down my, like, this is psychotic. This is like next level stuff, folks. This is not normal. That's why I say what I say about Trump. He's a jab salesman. He thinks his number one issue is running around the country to Alabama, telling them to get the jab. We heard the pitch, bro. Either you're going to stand for freedom, either you're going to put on for the military members and the nurses who are being forced this product, or you're going to be on the wrong side of history. It's up to him. You could hate me. You could say whatever you want. I'm ready for it. I don't care. Yeah. Oh, no, but I like him. So I get it. I get it. Okay. I voted for him. I get it. But either he's going to be on the wrong side of history or not. That's just how it is. I get that it's been available. It's not like we needed to hear it from him because we didn't know. We've got forced this product a million times. They're trying to threaten people and bribe people. You get $100, kids. You get $1 million, kid. You get here. You can't go to school. You can't go to Coachella. I mean, these people are psychopaths, folks. The fact that everyone's just like, yeah, well, I mean, maybe it's going to go away if I just get my fifth booster shot. Maybe it's going to go away. I mean, listen, I got a PhD. One of those chicks that said I'm going to click real quick. One of the chicks that was saying, I didn't know that exercise could actually make me feel better. She has a PhD. Well, maybe, I mean, they did give me this really cool, she says science. Listen, I got a PhD in molecular biology, which is no joke. Not really. The people with that are like, oh, I have my own opinion. Maybe if I get my 10th booster, maybe Walmart won't put me in the thing that they put the bad people in. I mean, let's just ignore the data. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't work like they said it would, but I mean, that's just a sign of success. When they say 95 and it goes down to 39, that means it's working. When Israel data and Bloomberg's printed out that says natural immunity might be better for the Delta, that's progress. That just shows you how damn good of a product. I mean, the way it works is when it doesn't work like they said. That's how you really know it's working. I mean, has Big Pharma ever been wrong before? I mean, only like 100 times. I don't know. I can't even keep up with all the. There's 20,000 FDA-approved things. Bextra, the Bayer HIV protein pill, Johnson & Johnson heck, they just settled a opioid lawsuit a couple weeks ago. But I mean, who cares about that? I mean, right? Come on, bro. It's science. It's like, we've heard the sales pitch a million times. I get it. Trust me. It's like living in a 1984 world. I get it. Everywhere I go, I walk to the store. They're like, hey, I'm like, dude, can I just get a churro? I'm really hungry. They're like, churro? Dude, what about the Moderna? What do you think of the Moderna? I'm like, it's a cool company, man. Stocks are doing really well. He's like, yeah, dude, just got my second Moderna, man. Man, I had to get my Moderna in order to go to, how was I going to go to Ultra EDM Festival this year if I didn't get my Moderna? I got 2 shots of my Moderna. I mean, yeah, it didn't feel good for a little bit, but I mean, that just shows it's working because nothing says it's working like, getting a little sick for a few days because, I don't want to get sick. So I just got a little sick, moved on, getting a booster shot next month. I mean, I didn't want to get it, but I mean, heck, DJ Tiesto's playing. So, somebody's got to do it, right? So, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, yeah, no, for sure. You're going to get the 7th booster? Well, I mean, I don't want to get the 7th booster, but Deadmau5 is playing. So, I mean, I'll get the, it's like, yeah, no, totally. Yeah, for sure. No, I feel it. I like Deadmau5. I really do. But I'll pass on the big event this year. Someone said 39 isn't even an F grade. Well, the funniest part is like, it's not like they said it was going to be 39% effective when they gave it to everybody. Like, that's a whole different story. It's like, hey, guys, this is going to prevent against severe illness. It's going to like 39%, like could be better, could be worse. I know but like severe illness is really going to be crushed, so, and people would be like, okay, well, 39% is not bad, but that's not what they did. They said 95% effective. Herd immunity, you get it. We're all going to get it, and we're going to never get the virus, and herd immunity is going to come. And then like 4 months later, it's like, 39% effective. I mean, it's not 95, but I mean, it's not 0. So 39% effective. I'm just saying, I mean, that's not all bad. 39. I mean, it's pretty good. It's like almost half, but not quite. But severe illness, we really, really crushed that. So it's like these people are like crack salesmen. It's like, dude, I get it. You ran out of the good stuff, and all you got left is like, I don't know, like fentanyl late. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, it's like, I wish people were thinking. Seriously. Imagine a car, let's just do this example real quick. I know medicine's different from automobiles, but let's just use this rough example. Imagine if Ford, they said, well, Ford makes the safest car, so no one could have any other car besides Ford because it's proven that the Ford is the most safe. And if everybody drives a Ford, every single person drives a Ford, everybody's going to be way more safe. You have to. We'll give it to you for free. I mean, it's not free because we just printed and stole your tax money, but it's free. And then the Republicans were like, oh, it's free. It's like, now you guys are socialists too. It's free. It's not free. But anyway, they're like, so everyone drives a Ford. This Ford goes like 200,000 miles. It's going to last 200,000 miles. This thing crushes. And then you get the Ford and they're like, well, remember how we said we were going to save like 95% of lives with the Ford? That's like 39. I mean, it's 95, 39. It's pretty close, right? And you're like, well, not really. No, that's actually not close at all. Like 39 times 2 is not even 95. So you're not that close. Like, yeah, well, I mean, it still prevents against like severe accidents, but like it drives like less than 100,000 miles by me. And then I'm like, okay, so you were wrong. So now what happens? Do you like say sorry to me? Do I get an apology? Can I go drive another car? Like, oh, no. You got to buy another one. Every 6 months, you're going to buy another Ford and you're going to have no choice. And if you don't buy this car, you can't work here. Sorry, that just is the science. It's like, do people not realize how psychotic it is? They gave you a product that doesn't work how they said it would work. And now it's not their fault. It's your fault. And you have to get that same product every 6 months because it didn't work how they originally thought. If people are going to keep doing this, it's like, I can't say I feel bad for anybody. I feel bad for the kid who grows up in Iraq in like a dusty corner because of something that happened in the Iraqi war, and he has no choice. I feel bad for the kid in America who's being forced masked by his mother, or the mom in America who's doing everything she can, but it's not enough. I don't feel bad for the people who get in line for this 3rd or 4th or 5th shot. It's like, what the hell do you expect? They're going to treat you like sheep if you act like one. It's like, I've gotten pharmacy products. I'm not anti-pharma. I'm not anti-vax. I want to look at the science. I want to look at the data. I want to look at the short-term trials. I want to look at the long-term trials. I'm sorry. That's just the type of person I am. I'm 31 years old. I'm not 80 years old. If I was 80 years old and had a severe hacker's cough, maybe I'd have a different opinion. I'm 31, super healthy, don't get sick, have a great diet regimen, very thoughtful about what I do and don't do. I want to see some long-term trials. And I'm sorry, but the longer term they get, the lower the effectiveness gets. I'm not getting a booster. Sorry, folks. That's just you can't force it on me. A new restaurant opens. I got to eat there the first day. Unbelievable. So I don't really feel bad for people that go along with this. Like, well, I want to go to the wedding. So I'm like, I get it, but I guess you want to live this way for 10 years. I'm not living this way. I'm at peace. Seriously, at this point, I'm hoping for the best. I'm prepared for the best. I'm living in the moment, but I'm also prepared for the worst. Like I've come to terms with it. You can't scare me because I've already braced myself for what happens when everybody does this. If it happens, it is what it is. I don't know. Like I said, I'll live in the woods. And if they don't allow that, I guess, I don't know. I'll face that problem when I see it, but I'm not just, it's like, I see the writing on the wall because I see how everybody's acting. So I'm at peace with it. Seriously. Well, what about this? I'm like, then we better have an extra good time this year if we're going to end up like Australia. And I don't think we are. This is America. I believe in us. I don't think we're going to lock down again. I think everybody's getting kind of tired of the mask thing because it's psychotic. So, when brave people are brave, this all ends. And once again, I have to say this because they're looking for reasons to say, well, he incited this. I seriously believe, I'm not just saying this to say it. I believe that the solution is peaceful and legal. It really is. If everybody stops working for these people, well, you could just get another job. Okay, then I'm going to get another job. If 50% of a Fortune 500 company doesn't work, they can't function without you. Maybe they could try to replace you with computers, but my guess is they're too stupid to figure out how to do that because we were getting smarter and recently people got dumber. So I don't even think they're ready to replace you with computers yet. So it's like, if people stand up for themselves peacefully and legally, this all ends. If everybody leaves these cities where they're enforcing this all goes away. Did I take the first one? I think it's misleading because with all of this blasting about the COVID vaccine, this isn't the first vaccine. I know what you mean. I'm going to answer it, but it's like, did you get the first one? What, the polio shot? Or like, they act like this is, did you get the vaccine? Which one? There's freaking, how many do kids get nowadays? 10, 20, 30. I don't like, which one are you talking about? I can go back through my medical history. Oh, the COVID, it's not the first vaccine. And it's not the only vaccine, but did I get the COVID shot? No, of course not. And I'm not saying like I'm telling other people what to do. I bet a lot of my audience has, a lot of my audience hasn't. But I made the decision early on that I don't want to. And I have 30 different reasons for it, but I could go over all of them. But when it first rolled out, I was like, interesting. I'm going to sit it out for now. And then, I research and I read a lot. I don't just listen to what they say. I listen to their claims. They said it was 95. And I said, that's good if it's true, but here's the thing. It's like a lot. If you look up the history of vaccines, first of all, there's two things that are different from this one and that one. I'm not saying to tell people to or to not. I'm just saying normal vaccines that we've had in the past, they're not mRNA. mRNA is new technology. The Pfizer and the Moderna are different from any other vaccine that's ever been on the market. So that's one thing I found interesting. Could work better, could work worse, could be the same. I don't know, but worth considering, I think, if you care about your body or whatever. And then the second thing I thought was interesting was I think the quickest vaccine ever rushed to market was 4 years, 5 years. It took a long time. So Trump is like Operation Warp Speed. I'm thinking to myself, as someone who's always been a pharma skeptic, or rather someone who reads, I was like, well, I don't know that that's impressive to me. So I don't know, like that. I never thought that was a good thing. I like Trump, but when he was saying that, I'm like, I'm not in a rush. I'm not that afraid of COVID. Maybe some people are, but for me personally, it wasn't like appealing. Like, this is the fastest we've ever done it. It's like, is he Jeff Gordon or something? Like if this was NASCAR, I'd be like, dude, Trump is killing it. He's really fast. But when it comes to like trials and data, I'm not so sure fast is like the most exciting thing. I know he's like Space Force, Warp Speed, over. Let's go there. I'm like, dude, it's not NASCAR. It's science. So I'm thinking to myself two things. One, it's new mRNA technology, and it's the fastest one ever brought out to people. And it's also the most pushed down our throats. So I wasn't against it and I wasn't for it. I was just like, I don't want it. I don't know. I don't take pills. I'm drinking water. I like to swim. I like to exercise. I like to do jumping jacks. Like I have my own health regimen. Sometimes I eat meat. Sometimes I fast for 24 hours. Sometimes I don't eat at all and I just drink juice. Sometimes I decide what I do to my own body and I suffer the consequences or the benefits. So I didn't take it because I was like, I don't know. Okay, that's interesting, but I'll wait to see. I was looking at countries that didn't do it. I was following the data for months and I knew, I don't know that I said it because I like to stick to articles I could prove so they don't censor me. But in my own head, when they said it was 95% effective, I never said it wasn't. But I thought in my head, I don't believe it because that's based on the numbers that they did. And I read those reports and I read the Pfizer and the Moderna. I read all the reports and I said, okay, it's an interesting study. The bigger study is going to be when they give it to the whole world. So that's like the new data that they got, right? So they gave it to everybody this year. And I wanted to sit back and just see what happened. And Israel, I think, was one of the big things. If Israel could eliminate coronavirus, maybe, probably not, but maybe I would have been like, damn, this thing might be really good. Maybe I would have been suspicious or, ask questions. But that never happened. I waited to see what happened in Israel, and they have more cases and more deaths to the point where even Bloomberg, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, so I hold it up here. Facebook censors. Bloomberg is saying that getting infected with COVID originally shows that it may prevent you from the Delta more than the Pfizer shot. So why in the world would I want to get it now? And I'm not saying that this is the main reason, but it's like, I want to get it because they're forcing it down my throat. I'm not a slave. I'm not a prisoner. I'm not a second tier citizen. They might treat me like shit and steal my tax money, but in general, I'm not going to take this product that doesn't work like they said it would because they're threatening me with it. Does that sound like a fair experience between big pharma, government, and the person? So yeah, I mean, no, I didn't take the first one. I didn't take the second one. And I will never take a booster shot. That's just my personal view. I don't tell anybody. People message me all the time and say, what should I do? I tell them the truth. I'm not a medical advisor. I'm not a doctor. I'm not your life coach. I'm not telling you what to do. I want you to make your own decision. And certainly, I want you to talk to somebody that you trust. However, all I know is what I read and what I did for myself. And also, I always say that even if you love it, I hope you want a booster, because if you got these 2 shots and you love it and it's working great and you feel fine, my thing is this, I think that's awesome. It's just, I hope you're ready now to do whatever they say, whenever they say, because if you get 2, you're going to have to get a 3rd and a 4th and a 5th. They might have a new virus and a new shot. I mean, you're pretty much open. Like at a certain point, either you're going to say no, or you're just, you're up for grabs with whatever they want to do. Either option's fine, I guess, but I don't want to live that way. I don't take pills. Like some people take pharmacy pills. It's not a big deal. They take every vaccine, every pill. I don't judge those people, but I don't take pills. I'm not a customer of big pharmacy all the time. They have almost like the entire country. I forget the data of how many people are on at least one pill. It's astronomical how many pills Americans take. They say 5% of the world taking 80% of the opioids. So like they have almost everybody as a customer already. They're not happy. They're not making enough money. The regular shot didn't make enough money. They just keep like these people are out of control. So they're making enough money. They're already making billions, tens of billions. Like you're not satisfied. You need everyone as a customer, even though you admit that it won't necessarily even stop you from getting it. Leave me alone, you psychopaths. Like just take your billions of dollars, go buy a freaking island somewhere and leave everybody alone. Like what do you want? What do you want out of this? How did they benefit from everybody being miserable and them treating like normal people like shit? These people got to stop. I don't get what they're even going for. All right, a few questions now, Mount. So now is when we start using their terms against them. I mean, I'm kind of joking about this. So if you guys know, Bloomberg is owned by Michael Bloomberg. Michael Bloomberg is Jewish. When Ted Cruz said something about Bloomberg owning Bloomberg, they called him an anti-Semite. They were like, how dare you suggest that Michael Bloomberg owns his own media company? That's an anti-Semitic offense. And Ted Cruz was like, I'm not anti-Semitic. He just owns the company. So now it's time to use it against them. Listen, Michael Bloomberg is a nice Jewish man, okay? He said, using the Israeli data, that, a previous bout of COVID may prevent the Delta infection better than the shot. I didn't say that. Bloomberg said it. So if the mainstream media and Facebook, if they're willing to be anti-Semitic, they can go against Michael Bloomberg. They can go against all of Israel and the data. I wouldn't do that. But if they want to be an anti-Semite about it, that's up to them. It's very anti-Semitic to disagree with Michael Bloomberg, and it's very anti-Semitic to disagree with Israeli data. The Israelis, if they do one thing right, it's data, okay? Their data is great. It's way better than American data, and from what I'm reading, they seem to be pretty honest about it. So let's not get all anti-Semitic trying to disagree with Bloomberg here. I know, fact check. That I don't know. I'm not going to compare it to something, in the past, but it's seeming very blank of you for doing that to the innocent Michael Bloomberg. I mean, he's just a normal guy like everybody else trying to run a media company. Israel, these are good people out there. They're just trying to survive out there in the Middle East. You guys keep trying to call them liars all the time. So let's not be anti-Semitic. Let's respect the Israeli data, and let's respect the very nice man, Michael Bloomberg, because I would hate to see Facebook or YouTube delete my video, based on anti-Semitism. And you just would hate to see that because we love everybody here. God made all children of the earth, okay? There's no reason to censor anybody. There's no reason to be an anti-Semite, Facebook, and try to get rid of the Bloomberg data and Israeli data. God created everyone for a reason. God created Christians, Muslims, Jews, black, white. You have to understand there's good and bad people all over the world, but God doesn't make mistakes. He created everyone for a reason. So there's no reason to come out here censoring everybody, kicking everyone off social media, starting to seem very anti-Semitic, racist, sexist, xenophobic, etc. Let's tone down the bigotry because just remember God created everybody for a reason. Thank you, Scotland. I saw the comment. I appreciate you. I was joking the other day. I said, they have Rachel Dolezal. If you don't know Rachel Dolezal, she's a woman who pretended to be black or something. She identifies as black. She's revolutionary. She was some NAACP position. She curled her hair to make it look different from her natural hair. She really wanted to be black. And at a certain point, you just got to respect it. So Rachel Dolezal said, I'm black, but I'm not black, but I am black. I feel black. And she was transracial, right? And I have to say I support it. And then you had that the white kid who was I'm Japan. I want to be Korean or something. And he got surgery. And, a lot of people aren't going to agree with this because it's a slippery slope, right? LGBTQ too. And now we're transgender. I support it. I really do. I think it's fine to change your race. And that's why I have said I identify as Whoopi Goldberg. Why? Because I feel that it gives me the best protection against, hate speech. Why? Because Whoopi Goldberg changed her name to Goldberg and identified as Jewish, even though reports say that she's not. You got to respect that. So I, therefore, identify as Whoopi Goldberg. I'm a black Jew and a woman. And if you want to question what I'm saying, I understand it. I'm not perfect. Everybody makes a mistake. But when I identify as Whoopi Goldberg, you are now criticizing a black Jewish woman, which is anti-Semitic, racist, and sexist. So I support Rachel Dolezal, and I would love if people respected me identifying as Whoopi Goldberg, aka Something Johnson, who changed her name to Goldberg to apparently fit it in Hollywood, aka, just be yourself. And that's who I am, and that's how I feel. So I would hate to see Facebook do such a horrible thing to Whoopi Goldberg. So let's calm down. Let's read Bloomberg together. Let's look over the Israeli data. As Whoopi Goldberg, a lot of my family members live in Israel because, I'm a black Jewish woman. I would say I have tens of thousands of family members who live there, and they're all black women too. So let's not push the boundaries of dog whistling. That's what they say. When you don't actually say anything, they're like, hey, Anomaly. You're like, hey, how are you doing? They're like, how are you doing? Is that what you said? I'm like, yeah, I just want to know how you're doing. They're like, that sounds like a Nazi dog whistle. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, there's this old video of Hitler and he woke up and said, how are you doing? And you with your wave did kind of look like that. And I'm like, no, that's not true at all. They're like, it's kind of a dog whistle. That's their new thing. If they can't catch you actually saying something messed up, they claim you're dog whistling, as if you're signaling to all the bad people what to do, but you're not saying it, but they understand. They're like, man, Trump really dog whistled with that last speech. I mean, he said Mount Rushmore. And if you think about it, Mount Rushmore is filled with slave masters. So Donald Trump is a slave master. And you're like, how do these people have journalism jobs? Who reads this stuff? How do you not become mentally insane if you read these things? You're like, holy crap! You're like, did Donald Trump dog whistled yesterday? What did he do? What did he do? What did he do now? He's like, I mean, he just said he loved America, and it's just so sad. I mean, America was born on slavery, and Donald Trump loves it, so he must love slavery. I mean, Huffington Post is really just giving it raw. How do you not become insane if you listen to these people? ZM said, Anomaly is wrong about forcing businesses to not allow required vaccines. You don't have to work for them. He is also trading freedom for protection, same principle. That's not true, ZM. I've had other things. So If you go in a corporation, they're not allowed to do anything. They're not allowed to kick your shin. They're not allowed to kick you out based on race. They're not allowed to kick you out based on fat. They're not allowed to kick you out based on pills. And most of the country is run by major corporations. So ZM, if you say, well, corporations have whatever, they could do anything. I mean, they could just chop your leg off if they want, right? Yeah, I mean, it's their right. I mean, they could just chop your leg off when you walk in and carry your leg around on a stick. Like, can they do that, ZM? Oh, they can't do that? You know why? Because there's certain laws that supersede the rights of a corporation. They're not gods. They work for this country. So in a sane, moral society, they're not allowed to do whatever they want unless we live in anarchy. We don't live in anarchy. But also, if you allow them to do that and you decide not to get the 50,000th big pharma product, you will never fly. You will be starved to death by the grocery stores. You will not be able to go anywhere. You will literally not even be able to access society. If that's a life you want to live, ZM, good luck. But it's like these pseudo-intellectual anarchists that are like, we don't live in anarchy. We don't live in anarchy. We don't live in libertarianism. We have one party are pretending to be doing their best Bolshevik impression, and the other party is doing their best socialist impression while they pretend to be patriots. We don't have a libertarian party. Our country's not libertarian. It's not been libertarian for probably over 100 years. So as soon as we get locked in our house, were you out in the street saying, hey, don't lock us down? They locked us down. So if they could lock us down, oh, but let's just allow them to, okay, then let's let them ban. Do you want them to ban race too? Do you want them to kick out white people out of grocery stores or black people out of grocery stores? Do you want them to be able to kick people in the shin? Do you want them to be able to force other medication on people? Do you want them to say, if you didn't take Advil today, you can't go in the store? Do you want them to say, if you're too fat, you can't come in the store? You're too skinny, you can't come in the store? You're too tall, you shouldn't come in the store. You're too small, you shouldn't come in the store. Oh, you're from India, you should come in the store. Is that the anarchy world that you live in your head? Because that's not what's happening in our country. So if you allow them the rights to do this, the slippery slope towards tyranny is already here. So ZM said, I don't want to live that way, but businesses should be allowed to discriminate. I never followed mandates. I am not vax. Chop leg off is a terrible argument. It's not a terrible argument. Thomas Massey understands it more than you. He's a libertarian. He says that forced vaccination is violence. If you force a needle onto somebody that they don't want, that's violence. Okay, they can do anything. Okay, only people with slit wrists are allowed to come in our store. Are they allowed to do that, ZM, as a libertarian? Only people who take Motrin every day could come into our store. You have to take this product. You have to eat this food if you can't come. Can they do that, ZM? Is that the libertarian world you want to live in? Are they allowed to decide your diet and medicine regimen? Because that's never happened before, ZM. There are no stores, there are no businesses that do that. There's not a single one in this country. So if you want that, do you not realize how that's going to backfire? You think that should happen? Let me know, ZM. I'll be here all day. You think they should be allowed to decide your diet and exercise regimen, or you can't come in the door? I'm just wondering how you're going to deal with not being able to fly or go into grocery stores. I hope you're ready to starve to death. Or, oh, but I want to buy seeds. Oh, well, Bayer owns Monsanto now, or Monsanto owns Bayer. So they control most of the seeds. So I hope you're ready to not buy seeds, bro. Someone says no because you don't have to work for them. Other people can start a business too. Dude, they're not just going to do it for their employees. They're going to do it for the people working for them. There's already places you can't go there even as a customer. They're not allowing you as a customer. So it's not just about work. It's about access. It's about earning income in society. Someone said, I'll debate you on this and lose. I don't get what you're saying. I'm not even talking about just for employees. I'm talking about for customers too. You could have a debate and you could go starve in the woods, which I'm prepared to do at this rate because people like you run the Republican Party. They're communists when it matters. They're socialists when it matters. They're do-nothings when it matters. They print trillions of dollars when it matters. And when it actually matters to stand up for us, all of a sudden they're libertarians. Oh, I mean, I guess the corporations can do whatever they want. They can? Okay, well, have fun not being able to go anywhere because that's going to happen. I've heard this argument for Republicans. That's why they lose. Not saying you, ZM. They sit on the couch. They watch football games. They cheer on Donald Trump. They do absolutely nothing when the country shuts down. And then when it goes time to function as a normal society again, all of a sudden they're absent on the most moral issues ever. This is an issue of morality. This is an issue of whether you're even going to be able to access society. And now they're libertarians. Someone said, okay, you don't have to buy their product, shop somewhere like the guy. Dude, who do you think controls the banks? You're not going to win this argument. There's a few companies that control almost all of the money in this country between PayPal, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, JP Morgan and Chase. There's maybe 20 max car companies. And like, if you go to everything, especially cable, wireless, cell phones, we don't have a million companies. Most industries, most of the most important industries that decide if you can even access money, if you can eat, if you can go to the grocery store, or you can use technology at all, most of them, including cell phones, there's only a couple companies that own almost everything. So if 2 or 3 of those companies decide that, you won't be able to use a phone, you won't be able to access internet. There's already people at colleges that can't attend the college. Even if they don't go physically, they're not allowed to sit in their house and go to the college because they don't have a vaccine. You think that can't happen to your bank? You think that can't happen to your food supply? You think that can't happen to Amazon? You think they won't let you log in? Keep being a libertarian and you're going to find out, bro. Someone said, debate me then, you'll lose. Stop making me buy these chats. Dude, I didn't make you buy one chat. I didn't ask you to buy one chat. I didn't ask you one time to give me a super chat. You've given them out of your free will. So stop lying and pretending like I made you. You could come on my Instagram live and try to debate me, but how many companies own cell phones? How many companies own this stuff? It's like, well, I'm an anarchist. Then go move to an island and tell you and Michael Malice can pretend you're anarchists and you can get bow and arrows, but we live in America. Do you pay taxes? You're not an anarchist. Do you pay taxes? You're not a libertarian, okay? I'm very libertarian on a lot of issues, but I don't live on an island with you and Michael Malice pretending, role-playing Native Americans shooting bow and arrows. Like, I live in the real world, and this country has been a long time. Someone said when? Later this week, bro. I'm exhausted. Or next week sometimes. I would love to have a respectful debate with you on the libertarian angle of being able to access stores and banks and stuff. You don't have to super chat, bro. I'm reading your comments, but tell me if you would be okay. Real quick, I'll debate you on Instagram Live. Just give me next week and shoot me a message. Are you okay with not being able to access a bank account, not having a phone, not being able to fly, not being able to get on a bus, not being able to buy a car, not being able to access Wi-Fi, not being able to pay your bill, not being able to access Time Warner or Google or any of that, not being able to log into any of the major social media? Are you okay with that as a libertarian? Are you okay with being axed out of literally every access to society? Transportation, travel, food, groceries, buying seeds, banking. Are you okay with being completely eliminated from modern society, who control almost everything you need, including even if you wanted to build a house, you'd probably eventually have to go to a store to get unless you chop down a tree. Are you okay with that? You don't have to super chat. I'll read your comments. Save your money. Let me see. How do I? No, let me know right here. One more, last one, and then we'll do a whole debate. And then I gotta go. We'll do a whole debate. ZM, no super chat. I'll read it. Are you okay with everything I said? No travel, no phone, no Wi-Fi, no food, no car. You can't buy a car. You can't rent a car. You can't get Uber Eats. They won't let you log in either. Every major industry blocking you out completely. Are you okay with that? Just give me a yes or no and an explanation. I'll read it, and then I'm gonna move on, and I'll do it. Someone said it's already happening here in Europe. Yeah, well, you could go work somewhere else. That's not a good argument. I'm not talking about work. I'm talking about access. I'm talking about the person who uses it. It's already happening in Europe. It's already happening all over the world. But someone said, bro, you think nobody will start a business to provide those things? Huge market. You're going to start a phone company? You're going to rival Samsung and Apple? You think so? You think they would even let you do that? Good luck. I'll debate you, and then maybe I'll pay for you and Michael Malice to live on an island somewhere so you could talk about anarchy. You guys could wear like a little tangerine peel over your private area and run around with bow and arrows and role play, pretending to live in an anarchy society. as everybody else is forced in their house and locked down like Australia. Someone said, please talk about Trevor Moore from The Whitest Kids You Know. He recently died. I know, rest in peace. He's a very funny comedian. I saw that. It'll be a good debate, though. I'll probably post it on here. So someone said, how do I message you? On Instagram, brother. All right, we're not going to make this a ZM show, but message me on Instagram. I would love to have – I'm actually excited. I know you're a big supporter. I know you've super chatted a lot. I know you like me. From what I can see, I like you, ZM, so we get along on a lot. It'll be a friendly, good debate. Just message me on Instagram and say, hey, it's ZM, and we'll set it up next week. You got to give me a break, though. Yesterday, I did like 3 videos. I did an interview with Ari the Rugged Man. I'm exhausted, and I have a few things to do this weekend, so I will do it. I will debate with you next week. It'll be great. I know you're a good guy. I'm looking forward to it. I think a good libertarian debate on this topic is very necessary, and I look forward to it. So thank you, my man. Jokes aside, I got you. Someone said, talk about the bill, AB 455 bill. I'm going to try to do a video on certain stuff. There's so many bills coming out saying you can't travel, you can't do this, you can't do that. This is my message above whatever debate I'm going to have with him. The politicians are probably not going to save you. I'm voting in the recall election, vote yes. But they can only temporarily provide maybe something. Maybe the Supreme Court will throw us a bone. It's really going to come down to the people. Seriously, like we will end up like Australia if enough people comply. If enough people peacefully and respectfully say no, it's all over. So they're going to put these bills in. I wish this was shocking to me. I already know the direction that they're going. So, don't be afraid. Don't be fearful. Don't freak out about it. Just understand this is the direction things are going and do what you can. That's all you really can do. On that note, I wanted to say also the Supreme Court, if you guys saw, they shut down the CDC moratorium, which is awesome because I was reporting that Brett Kavanaugh voted the other way because he did. So a couple weeks ago or a month ago, Brett Kavanaugh sided with the liberals and voted to extend the CDC moratorium where the CDC decides that landlords can't collect rent. It's insane. It's literally like communism. In communism, I don't say this loosely, like everybody just says communism. When I say it, I know what I'm talking about. I have the book. I've read it. One of the main principles, if not the main principle of communism, is nobody has private property. That's the goal. You don't own anything. That's why you see all these articles. You don't own anything. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's in the book that Karl Marx wrote with Friedrich Engels. Anyway, if the CDC and the government can decide that you can't even collect rent from your landlords, you don't have private property. There's nothing private about that. It's destroying landlords. So Brett Kavanaugh originally voted with the liberals and said, I disagree with this unconstitutionally, but I'm going to extend it for a few weeks because they need time. And I'm thinking to myself, if you think it's unconstitutional, Kavanaugh, then vote no. Your job is not to so he voted with the liberals and extended it. It was 5-4. And then they revisited it and shut it down. I'm grateful for that, but I was calling BS on Kavanaugh because I'm like, he says it's unconstitutional, then votes for it. I didn't know that they were going to do another vote this fast. I don't think a lot of people did. So I got to give credit that the Republicans and conservative judges actually stood firm. A long time coming. Before I end, I want to say this real quick too. A lot of these policies, I know people don't want to hear this, but it wasn't started under Joe Biden. And I'm not saying he's good. I'm just saying the CDC thing was started under Trump's administration. So was the travel ban. There's people like Zuby. If you follow Zuby, I'm on his new album. He couldn't get to America from his country, not because of a Joe Biden travel ban, because of the Donald Trump travel ban. And then it was extended by Joe Biden. So a lot of this BS that's happening now, it all happened back last year. Like I said, Montana is the only one doing, in my opinion, the right thing on vaccine mandates. ZM would disagree, but they're the only ones who are really gutting it where it deserves to be gutted. So corporations can't just bully us. As far as every other state, even Florida, like they're saying they're doing stuff, but there's different ways to go about it and different things. People agree to disagree, but a lot of this tyranny started last year, and a lot of these Republicans, it took them a long time to repeal their emergency order. Some of them still haven't. They still haven't. They talk this big game. If you look at the policy, you're like, they sold everyone out last year, and now they're just like slowly getting it back. See what happens though. All right, one more question, then I got to go. All right, I guess we're at 1 hour and 58 minutes. It's probably a good time to end it. Under 2 minutes. It looks good. God bless you guys. God bless your family. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for listening. I'll keep someone said trucker strike. I'll keep my eye on it. But anyway, I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/anomaly hip hop. I have Facebook, Anomaly Music. I have a clips channel that I need to update soon. Dream Rare Clips at YouTube. My Instagram's Dream Rare. These hats are at godblesshats.com or dreamrare.com, but godblesshats.com is probably easier. I have a Patreon. I have all that, but I'm good for now. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. And I'll be back soon. Enjoy yourself. Have a good weekend. I know there's a lot of bills and a lot of BS going on, so make sure you balance it. Do what you can. Stand up for yourself, but also have a good time and enjoy yourself. Don't let this stuff stress you out too much, because that's part of the mental game. They want you to be stressed. So enjoy yourself. Have a good one, and God bless you guys.